Chromosome Z. As you may well know, we all have 23 pairs of chromosomes, which determine our genders, and certain conditions are caused by deletion or damage to or addition of extra chromosomes. The X chromosome for girls and the Y chromosome for boys. But have any of you ever heard of the Z chromosome? I didn't think so. And as such, I wouldn't expect you to know what it does for people who were born with it. I'm about to tell you the story of two children, a brother and a sister, who were born with this mysterious Z chromosome. XYZ is the unisex patterning of this chromosome. Enough of the description, let's begin our tale. Our tale begins on the 21st of June 1992, and Lucy Branston had just given birth to a daughter who she named Ella, and she loved her very much, as did her husband Peter. "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Branston, you have a beautiful baby daughter," said the nurse. Dr. Jones came in from the lab. "There's something you may find interesting about your daughter, Mr. and Mrs. Branston," he told them as he showed them the results of a DNA test they ran on Ella to determine her gender. They knew she was a girl, but no ordinary girl, as they had discovered a mysterious chromosome which altered her chromosome pattern, so it read XYZ, which baffled everyone. "A Z chromosome?" said Lucy and Peter inquisitively, as they'd never heard of it. It was characterized as half female and half female, which they determined to mean it could generate the same way for boys and girls. This meant Ella was very special in ways they'd find out as she grew up. Over the next year, Ella developed at an unusual rate for a baby, and by the age of 1, she developed a full understanding of right and wrong. That summer, Lucy fell pregnant with another baby, and they were all excited about it. By spring 1994, they welcomed their son, Oliver, to the world. And to their surprise, he was also born with a Z chromosome, thus meaning he was as mysterious as Ella, as they had no idea what else the Z chromosome meant. When Ella turned 5, they discovered what the Z chromosome meant in her case, as she found herself wanting a biscuit, but couldn't reach the biscuit tin. So she stood on tiptoe to try to get it down. As she did this, she suddenly found herself hovering high enough to reach it. So she took off the lid and took out a biscuit, replaced the lid, and flew back to the ground. This amazed both Lucy and Peter to learn their daughter could fly, as a result of the Z chromosome. But what could Oliver do? They weren't going to know that until he was at least 5 years old. It actually took Oliver until he was 7 to learn how special having the Z chromosome made him. As he was out watering the plants one day in July, and he suddenly collapsed in the flower bed, only to find himself popping out of the sea moments later. As he dried himself down, he realized he was standing there without any clothes on, so he wrapped himself in a beach towel. "How did I get here?" he asked himself as he dressed in the changing room of a clothes store minutes later, before paying for the clothes with money he'd found in the street. As he left the shop, he was spotted by a teenage girl who looked like a younger version of Lucy. "Are you all right there, little boy?" she asked as he approached her. "Not really," he replied. "Aren't you sweet? My name's Lucy Donovan." "What might yours be?" said the girl. "I'm Oliver Branston," replied Oliver, staring at her. "Mum, what's going on? Where am I, and what year is this?" he asked her all at once. "Slow down there, kitten," said Lucy. Oliver stopped. What do you mean, Mum? No, what do you mean, Mum? Asked Lucy. Come on, you're my mum, silly. Peter Branston's my dad, and Ella Branston's my older sister, Oliver told her. Lucy stared at him. Actually, Oliver, I'm only 16. You're in London. It's 1975. I'm not married. And Pete Branston... I'm not married to Pete Branston, and we don't have any kids, she told him. The shock of learning he'd time-travelled to 1975 sent him into a shock big enough to collapse again, and he woke up in his own back garden in 2001. With present-day Lucy, Peter and Ella sitting around him. As he sat up, Ella placed him back on the cushion. You gave us quite a shock there, kitten, she said gently. Sorry, said Oliver. Don't be silly, son, said Peter. I discovered what makes me so special with this Z chromosome, he told them. What can you do, kitten? Asked Lucy. You're not going to believe this, but I can time travel, he told them. Dun dun dun! They all stared at him for a moment. What do you mean you can time travel? Asked Peter. Remember when I passed out just now? Said Oliver. Yes, said Lucy. I happened to wake up in 1975, he told them. After he finished telling them how he'd been to 1975 and met a teenage Lucy, they were shocked. Don't worry, you can't change the course of time. It's fixed, he told them. This was a relief, as it meant their family was destined to happen no matter what. We know you can travel back in time, but can you go forward as well? Asked Ella. I can't see how that would work. The future hasn't happened yet, he replied. 3 minutes later, Oliver was walking down the street. As Oliver was walking down the street, he swayed on the spot and collapsed, only to find himself on all fours in the changing room of a clothes shop. He stood up and put on his new clothes, paid for them, and left the shop. As he entered the street, he saw a boy being chased by bullies, so he went after them, but never reached them. It was then that Ella came swooping down to fly the boy to safety. A hand touched him on the shoulder. You can't do anything different, Oliver, said a voice. Oliver looked up into the eyes of a young man of around 19. Who are you? He asked. I'm you from the future, replied the young man. How far in the future are you from? Asked Oliver. 12 years, replied future Oliver. You're me from the year 2013? Asked Oliver. That's right. It doesn't look much different than now. Oh, and we can go to any past or future date on our family timeline, future Oliver told him. Whoa, said young Oliver. Future Oliver then began swaying and collapsed, disappearing before he hit the ground. Okay, said Oliver. This was the first episode of the Zedderverse segments of Some Magical Story Time. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a some magical time.